What's up? What's good? Matt Clark here at the new Matt Clark. How are each and every one of you doing on this amazing Sunday? And happy Halloween. I'm doing great. My girl's doing great. My family's doing great. I hope each and every one of you are doing great despite the crazy times that we're living in. Like, let's be honest. It's crazy, right? If you could please hit that like button. If you could please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification button to get all my videos when they're new. If you could share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that'd be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description of most of my videos, but not all. So let me see who's in the building. Eddie Spaghetti, Forza 388. What up, Mike? What's with back east convicts? I'm from BC and met many guys transferred to BC. Best guys I ever met. Why is Ontario and east of BC has more solid guys? I can't answer that question, my brother. Straight up, Matt. I told you about pre-trials in British Columbia. Punk action, cons work for pigs, patrol unit, keep unit in line. Literally. Yeah, that's nuts. That's crazy stuff. Soft skull bubble brain. What is worse, jail, summer, or winter? I personally think that jail is worse in the summer, specifically because of the weather. If you're in federal, it makes you, kind of fantasize about being in the street a little bit. But at the same time, you can play sports and stuff if you're in federal in the summertime. But if you're in provincial, it's definitely summertime because the winter time is freezing cold. If you're in somewhere like Lindsay, a lot of the cells, man, you could see your breath. You're shaking it rough. And it really doesn't matter if it's summer or winter when you're in one of those places because you don't see anything anyway. So either way, it doesn't really matter. I guess it's just what you want or what you like. You know what I'm saying? Scooby Tooby Doo. What's up? Drayton Martin, what's up, man? If you guys could go up 14 likes, get those likes up, man. It's not hard to do. Come on, people. Matt, big fan. Did you know I don't mention names on my channel, my brother, but no, I don't know that specific person. So, doesn't mean that person's not there, but I don't know anybody by that name. John Furtado, man, what's up? How you doing? I wanted to talk about, I saw this Vice. So on the Lower East Side, British Columbia, Vancouver, we know East Hastings, stuff like that's got real bad drug problems. And I watched this Vice where there's this group of people. Brian V for the 5-piece, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And thank you for the congratulations. It means a lot, Mike. So basically, there's this group of people. They're, what's it called? Getting a bunch of money, fundraising money. And they're buying narcotics off of the dark web. They're bringing it to British Columbia. They're testing it to make sure there's no fentanyl. And they're passing out 2-point hits of meth, heroin, and coke free of charge to addicts trying to save lives. And they're putting their lives and their freedom at risk to try to save lives. And there's a lot of people who don't believe in that kind of harm reduction, but it truly does save lives if you're able to provide safe drugs for people and provide incentives to get off of drugs. That is the best answer. And it not only provides a safe using environment for addicts, but it also limits the amount of pull drug dealers have on prices and being able to cut their drugs and sell people poison. If that option is not there, then guess what happens, right? The whole world becomes safer. So it is what it is. I don't think that's ever going to happen, especially in Ontario. I don't see them ever fully legalizing. I could see it in British Columbia, maybe decriminalization. That's the answer, though, in my opinion. Dog, I got schizophrenia and bipolar, currently taking meds. I feel for you, my brother. Anybody else remember their prison number? I remember all of my prison numbers off the top of my head, still to this day. That's it. Right now, we live in a time where fentanyl is so cheap to produce that it can literally be in anything. And people want their stuff to be more addictive and more people to want it. So clearly, there's mixture going across the board. And not only mixture, there's a lot of just cross contamination. Sometimes people might just be selling both. Stuff gets mixed up. People make mistakes. Like when I was in the pen one time, a friend of mine actually gave me almost a full gram of H, number 4, for like dirt cheap because he paid for Molly. He was supposed to get Molly. Him and his buddies ate some of this, thinking that they were going to get blasted off Molly, just got sick, and somebody almost got poked up hard over that, except the fact that it was a genuine mistake. Bobby World, what's up, my brother? 1985, first conviction, last conviction, 2010. My first conviction, I don't know if it was 97 or 98. My last conviction, 2015. No, 16, early 16. Yeah, early 16. Not Betty Wop. So what's the topic of conversation today, people? What do you guys want to talk about? There's a lot going on in the world of addiction and everything. You know, the world is really moving forward. You see a lot of people's eyes opening up to the use of psychedelics, which is crazy to me. I remember when I was young, people just looked at everything like it was poison. You know, that was the era of the drug war, where even marijuana got you mad time in jail. How about them Leafs? I'm in the same position as you, man. Is my pineal gland open? I would say that I definitely have moments where I feel like it is, but I definitely feel like it's also being blocked. I feel like I'm a pretty objective person. I feel like I'm pretty smart, and I feel like I can see what's going on in society for the most part. I definitely think I could always improve on my listening skills and improve on surveying a little better, just like anybody else can. But I definitely think that I am pretty aware, for sure. I love the Leafs. They're everything to me, but I'm not sure what to think about the team yet. Drayton Martin, what's my take on mushrooms? Well, my take on mushrooms is that they're an amazing medication or psychedelic. I think that they have so many purposes. They can reset your brain, man. And I've had experiences on mushrooms that have literally changed the direction I've taken in my life. I think that in order to achieve those kind of things from mushrooms, you have to be in the right environment, the right mindset. Because I do think for some people, it's not a good choice if you are predisposed to mental health and schizophrenia and all things like that. It can be definitely dangerous for you. But I also think that there's a lot of things that can be treated with psilocybin, right from mental health, specific ones like depression and stuff, right to things like brain cluster headaches. I saw this guy, I remember watching a program where a guy had these major brain cluster headaches, like bad, debilitating, make you want to kill yourself kind of headaches. And he's like a really square civilian dude, never did drugs his whole life. His family, nobody did drugs. Yet every month he had to eat a half quarter of mushrooms and deal with the trip. And he didn't get those brain cluster headaches. And they showed the video of his family all being super worried about him as he's like rolling around in the bed going, because he's just blasted. A half quarter of mushrooms is a lot for somebody who doesn't do drugs. Sorry. How long does it take if you plead guilty out on bail to get sentenced? Do they give you a day to turn yourself in? And if you get pen time, do you go straight to the pen or go to provincial first? So you definitely go to provincial first. You have to sign your waiver. It's supposed to take 15 days from when you get sentenced. It can take a little bit longer than that, depending on buses and bed space and things of that nature. How long did it take if you plead guilty out on bail to get sentenced? And do they give you a day? A lot of the time, once you are convicted, you are put in jail. Now, a lot of the time, depending on the person, they will allow you to stay out on your bail until sentencing. Is specifically guys that are like minor offenses and stuff. But I guess that just depends on your lawyer, because some people stay out, some people get arrested at conviction. But I would definitely say that from the day you go for your trial, I would be prepared, thinking that at any time you could end up in jail. You never know what could happen, so be prepared for that. And so I don't know if they give you a day to turn yourself in after sentencing. I don't think so. I think when you go to sentencing, if you're sentenced, they take you that day. They expect you to be ready. Paul Bolos, what's up, Matt? Good to see you, brother. I was wondering if you knew if a DUI charge would affect someone wanting to travel outside of Canada. It would affect you to travel to the U.S. if you were convicted, for sure. Do I still stay in touch with friends from prison or people you met while criminally active? Is it a good idea to stay connected to these people? So I personally don't stay connected with a whole lot of people, but I definitely do have contacts through people. I hear about people, what's going on with them. And I definitely do know some people that are still caught up in the system. But I would say it's probably better to stay away from a lot of that, because when you're serious about turning your life around, you have to understand that a large percentage of the guys that are in prison and doing federal time specifically, they're repeat offenders, right? And if you surround yourself with that kind of mentality, then you're just going to end up right back with it. It is what it is. She got caught. What does that mean there, John Martin? Hard to stay out if you hang with active. That's it, right? The thing about it is, you basically are who you associate with. It just is what it is. And even if you're not active and the people around you are active, you're still at risk. You could get caught up in many things. It's better to just move forward with your life. You can stay friends from a distance. You can show people love from a distance, talk to people online and stuff. But I think it's better to find friends that are more into the things that you want to do with your life rather than what you used to do. Think progressive, think move forward. GM, man, what's up? I'm good, my brother. Have you ever unexpectedly run into someone you knew in prison? If so, how was the reaction? Yeah, I've definitely over the years of my life seen lots of people from prison, and it's always cool. I don't have beefs. I never had prison beefs, lingering prison beefs. I'm sure I have a couple guys that don't like me because of fights and stuff, and who knows what would happen if we bumped into each other in person. But I don't think about that much, and I'd say the funniest is when you bump into a CO. That's the funniest. If you ever see a CO in the street, they're suddenly all respectful. And if you had to put a percentage on it, how many old friends, guys you met in prison, are still in that cycle? I feel like your story is a rarity, and I might be wrong. And my story's not over yet. You know what I mean, brother? I've only made 3 years. So I still have a lot of work to do. There are guys that do 3, 4, 5, 6 years before they get in trouble again. And it's about being proactive with your rehabilitation, whether it's off drugs or out of the criminal lifestyle. You have to stay focused all the time, because the minute you start laxing and start thinking that you've got it covered or you've got it all figured out, that's when mistakes are made, and you find yourself making seemingly unrelated decisions that you don't think have anything to do with that. And before you know it, you're caught back up. D Diddy, man, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And Will, thank you very much. I will. It's not easy to change your life from a life of crime, and It's not because you love going to jail. It's not because you like hurting people or doing crime. It's because you've never learned different, especially if you're somebody who's been getting in trouble from when you're young. You don't really understand how to get and keep a job. You don't know how to manage your money, even if you do have a job. And there's just a lot of things that you need to learn along the way in order to be successful. And that's why I say it's about being proactive and learning every day, reading about things, getting involved in programs, be motivated to be a better person every single day. And you will. I genuinely believe that, There's a couple times where I could have made the wrong choice and probably profited off of it, but I decided to make the right choice to feel good about myself. And even though I lost out on opportunities to make money, right? I know that I'm doing the right thing, and that because I'm doing the right thing, it's going to pay off. There's no way it can. If you work hard every day of your life, if you get up early in the morning, if you just believe that you're going to be successful, then you can't fail. You can't fail. To run in the garbage, they act all nice and ask how's things. Or they tell you, I remember I saw this one Fed at the Richmond Hill Hospital, and he's trying to tell me about some guy he knows that could get me a job. And I'm just like, get the hell out of here, bud. Is provincial in BC, is it mostly circle or same guys in and out? It's typically the same guys that are in and out. You'll see new guys occasionally, but it's typically the same, 1,000 guys that you see all the time, no matter what jail you're in Southern Ontario, I find. Anyways, have you ever seen anabolic steroids in provincial or federal? Of course. Eddie Spaghetti. The federal programs really do help if a person is ready to start a new life. I seriously hate CSE, but they do help. Like, for me, I found that CSE didn't really give me too much help, but what they did do is they allowed me to work towards a parole, even though I shouldn't have been allowed to. You hear and you feel a lot of your life like the system is just trying to bury you, which they are, right? And there's no way you can get out of it. But there are cases where guys take advantage of things and get out and better their lives. It's just they know by design, the system, the way they've designed it, it's, 5% of people are going to be successful at turning their life around. That's why the recidivism rate is so high, because they basically make it impossible for you to get out of the system. And if you're just doing petty crimes like thefts and breaches and you never get out of the provincial system, it is impossible to get out of the system because they keep tagging probation on you over and over and over and over and over again. And I'd say that's the one benefit of doing federal time is as soon as your time is done, you're done. There's nothing keeping you in the system. For sure, it's wild how you can stay on track for years, but there's always the potential to get pulled back in. Got to keep a solid routine and remember the lows. That's it, my brother. Thanks, brother. Another question. My brother is down below. He's in Millhaven, but did a year dead time in penitentiary. He got sentenced to 7 years. How long do you think he will serve? If he's in max right now, he'll probably serve out of 7. Close, a little bit more than 5. I'd say. The way the system keeps us down is so, I know, you know what I mean? He also has a fight and something else on his record he's in for. Yeah, so I don't know. That's what I would say, my brother. If you're in the building, go up top, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. We speak on prison, we speak on addiction, we speak on life, whatever you want to talk about. And the channel is just something that helps me every day. And even if you don't stick around and watch every video, sometimes just understanding what your loved ones are going through, people that are locked up are going through, people that are trapped in addiction are going through, I did a Narnon meeting, and it really helped a lot of people because I think a lot of the time they don't understand that despite the fact that you're deep in the pits and you're stealing from the people you love and you're robbing and stealing from people in the community and stuff, you don't feel good about it. You know, it's not something that you want to be doing. I'm sure there's exceptions to that. I'm sure there are a lot of guys that do want to do it. But it gets to a point where you're more or less just caught up in the pattern and in the life cycle, you know, and not having these skills to turn it around. Brian B, oh yeah, I'm monetized, but I don't make any money, but I am definitely monetized. The way the system keeps us, will he get parole on his first? I don't know about that. Depends on how he is. This should be a regular Sunday chat for us all. That's what I'm saying. Is good for you, you know, like sometimes just taking the time, even if you're not involved, even if you've never known anybody who's involved in criminal stuff or addiction, sometimes it is good understanding that not everybody who's in that life is a loser or is committed to being a loser forever. You know, sometimes there's unforeseen circumstances that you don't understand that lead to that. And I think that's where stigma comes from, is that a lot of people just lack empathy for others. I think that's a huge problem in our society in general. And I think if people just took the time to understand that nobody really chooses that life chooses you, and it just kind of is what it is. Everything is lagging and stopping. Mine is lagging? Going off John's comment, do many guys have access for use of steroids in prison? Yo, bro, what do you think about the Windsor Super Gel? P-Roy, I've never seen it. I've never been there, so I don't know. Haven't been in a while. I was around when the channel was at 250. Congrats. You're huge. isn't extreme, but I'm doing all right for sure. First offender paroles go on fast track parole in 6 months as long as offense is not violent. That's only if accelerated parole, which was banished like 10 years ago. So unless they brought it back in the last year, I was a receiver of accelerated parole. But like, it's only first offense with no violence pre like 2010. It was all that Stephen Harper stuff. You know, when the conservatives swept in and decided that they wanted to make mandatory minimums and do a bunch of different things. No problem there, P-Roy. I'm on here for about another 5 minutes, guys. Harper is evil. This is the thing, like, I look at all politicians, like, you kind of have to have a certain level of evil in you, you know? I just think you do. Lock up raw, yeah, I am. I had to be for my work. Uh, 6 months. Roids common, then or not? I wouldn't say it's common because most guys in prison aren't really concerned about getting roids if they're smuggling, you know. You know, you do have a lot of guys that are really big and jacked in prison, but it's because the drugs aren't there. Like, you'll see a lot of guys that are really withered out and dying on the street. All of a sudden, they are jacked when they're in jail. But if the opportunity is there for them to do drugs, they will. You need a post cycle for roids, or your test levels will drop for sure. And you also have to be careful on roids. I know a lot of guys that overdid it, and I went to high school with the guy that had a major heart attack at 21 and almost died because he didn't break between cycles. He just Kept going and going and going and going for like 4 or 5 years straight. The guy was a monster, but he was absolutely crazy. His test levels must have been just through the roof. He wanted to fight everybody all the time, especially if he was drinking. Just a sav. No, the Suboxone lasts 6 months if you get the implant. And I would say that it lasts 6 months, and it's supposed to wean out of your system for the following 6 months, but they suggest that you get a new one every 6 months, because that's when you get your full dose for 6 months. That's the thing. When you need a consistent flow to and post cycle, seems like a hassle. For me, I never needed to do roids. I always had the ability to get big without them. I think if you focus on calisthenics and weights and the right amount of cardio, proper eating, watching your macros, you can get as big as you need to without roids, as long as you are not like a scrawny boy who just can't get big. And there are some people that are like that. Of course, yeah, there are definitely people inside that know jiu-jitsu for sure. You don't see people typically use jiu-jitsu in a fight, though, in prison, because people have friends, you know what I'm saying? So nobody's really typically standing there fighting with nobody around. Maybe if it's on the block or something like that, but typically there's somebody standing around watching. And if you were to like go to the ground a lot of the time and somebody was to be like choking you out, if you had any homies around, somebody's going to jump in and kick that guy in the head. There's no way your people are going to stand there and watch you get choked out so you can just get booted once you hit the ground. You know, in prison, you're fighting for your life, you know, and do what you can. So most of the time it's fists, weapons, knives, pipes, and just people just trying to hurt each other. You know, it's not really typically like really skilled fights like that. Mind you, you do come across times when you do get really skilled fighters fighting. It's an amazing thing to see. Would you get bullied for not working out? I would say no, because there's lots of guys that don't work out. I would say though that you're setting yourself up for failure in prison if you don't work out, because at any time you could get in a scrap, and you need to be able to fight for a good amount of time. You know, you can't gas out in 20 seconds because you're just going to get hurt really bad. So I'd say it's pretty important to train when you're inside. At least hit the bag, or, you know, work on cardio a lot so you can at least have the lungs to fight for a minute. Do you think Bernardo will ever be granted parole? I don't. I think they think he's responsible for more murders than he was convicted on. And I just think that I just can't see it. Dangerous offenders don't get out. You know, it's super, super duper duper rare. And he's a super dangerous offender who's been in segregation for so long. He has asked to go to population a few times and just fight it out, and they won't allow him to do that. They typically aren't going to release somebody to prison from seg. You know, how messed up is your mind after 30 years in solitary? 28 years or 30 years, you know? Have you ever seen someone get submitted with something other than a rear naked choke? Like, I've seen somebody get submitted by triangle or a guillotine. Exposing truth. How long does an average prison fight last? Like a minute? You know, sometimes beatings will last a lot longer, but usually they're quick, you know, because most cases the feds aren't just going to stand there and watch you fight. Like, you know, if you're in the federal system and you're in max and they got somebody trapped out in the yard and they're stabbing somebody, they're going to start shooting. If you're in the middle of the gym and you're stabbing somebody, they're going to start shooting. So, you know, fist fights in the federal system might last longer, a couple minutes, but typically it's not fist fights. Like, Usually if there's fistfights in federal, it's two guys that respect each other fighting. So you know what I mean? Because most of the time somebody will just get poked up if it's that serious. And then in provincial, the guards are going to rush the block. You know, they're not going to just stand there and let you fight. 40 of them are going to come rushing to the range and stop it. What's the best place to do time if you're in a medium level prison? Right now, I'd say the easiest and best place to do time if you want to be in like around decent people, I'd say it would be Fembrook. If you're not in a camp, Beaver Creek, medium. You cook your own food there. Food's good. So I'd say that's the spot. I wonder if they ever get away with a drone drop. They seem to only get busted because you only hear about the ones that get busted. Right? Carlos, what up? Peter Lorre, hey, I might have been in Tayak with you. Yeah, I was in Tayak a lot between like 98 and 2001. When a fight first takes place, what's the protocol for guards? You said a bunch rush in. If it's in provincial, they'll rush in. If you're in like Lindsay jail or something like that, they're definitely coming. Now, they won't always like necessarily like jump in and start fighting. But if somebody's getting hurt, they're going to spray you. You know what I mean? So, hey. I'm on here for one more minute, guys. Any last questions? Or a last question? Frempire fruit. What is it? Frempirique? Okay. Thank you, though, man. I appreciate that. In Max, it's not that they just watch. If they can do something to stop it with like guns, they will. If they can spray or use concussion grenades or anything like that, they will. But they're not going to rush in if somebody's getting stabbed up by a bunch of guys. They're going to wait till the attack is over, and then they're going to pull Buddy out. Did I ever have anxiety being in jail or prison? Oh, definitely, for sure. Everybody does, you know. You can't do as much time as I did without being involved in some shit, you know. So definitely. No problem there, Lockup Rob. But you guys already know, man. I love each and every one of you. If you haven't hit that like button yet, go up and hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate that too. Love each and every one of you. The new man. You guys have a good day, man. Happy Halloween.